You don't know, and that's why I'm going to tell you. All right, so you walked in your front door, sent your mud-crusted shoes sliding into that skid-marked heap of underwear you've tossed into the hallway, chucked the keys in the designated rotting fruit bowl, and, cracking open a cold one, slumped into your comfortable, soup-smeared armchair. And now you're ready to cast your critical eyes around your little kingdom. It's all so familiar. Everything seems to be where it should be. Well, maybe there's a few things here and there you could get around to sorting out, but it's kind of been for ages exactly as you wanted, or if not, at least you're used to it. So why change things just for the sake of changing? You got your pictures up there on the wall, well, that's homey at least, isn't it? And even though you've never really been too fond of that one, it kind of hides that hole in the wall, and the color is sort of okay, even though it's a portrait of dead pigeons strung up on a series of hooks in some medieval kitchen. Your partner gave you that creepy-eyed woman sketch. The frame is nice, though. And you've never had the heart to tell him it kind of spooks you out, so that's got to stay. And even though that sofa's a bit crammed into that corner, there's not a lot you can do with the space. So if you're going to keep it, which you have to because you need it, well, that's the only place it can be. And even though it means that every time you need to turn on the light, you got to spill yourself over it and sprawl in the dark, fumbling for the light switch, it's not that big a deal, because you're used to it. Apart from all of that, looking around, what is it that you're not seeing? Sometimes, like the things I just mentioned, it's the stuff we've grown used to. Sometimes it's the oh-so-obvious things, the elephants balancing their big fat arses right there on our heads, that escape our attention. Sometimes it's the stuff our senses have become so familiar with that only an outsider can draw our attention to it.
Oh boy.
Last winter, filming a commercial in the driveway outside a home in the Midlands of England, the sun was going down and it was starting to get uncomfortably frosty. The family who owned the place were a country-friendly bunch, and noticing us shivering invited us inside for much welcomed cups of hot tea. While we were more than happy to step out of the pending ice storm, stepping inside was like shoving our nostrils right up the rectum of an unwashed feline. And while the owners were obviously unaware of it, our outsiders' noses were tingling from the pungent smell of the legions of cats roaming about, our eyes itching from the fine hairs drifting through the air and clinging to every surface. Though comfy cozy to look at, our lovely host's home was obviously lacking vacuum bags and cleaning products. The heady, ingrained aroma of piss-soaked litter boxes causing us to abandon our hair-wrapped teacups and make a hasty backtrack into the frosty but catless air outside. So all in all, while we all have our zero sight zones, I'm going to make the assumption that you're not starting from the point of living in a joint crammed with 10-foot-high stacks of yellowing newspapers and discarded toilet rolls, or a plateau of cat feces rising up to your knees and a lifelong collection of butt fluff stapled onto your walls, because that shit's just kind of gross. But if you are, put the book down immediately and dial 99 you are fucking crazy and get back to me once the meds have kicked in. No worries, we all have time. Until it runs out, of course. For all of you others, sometimes it's good to start with a basic visual olfactory checklist, scanning up, down, and all around and using all your senses like Daredevil. Except he was blind, so that's not really the ideal example. Although Daredevil is really neat in all kinds of uber-cool other sensorial other ways, and honing in on how much better your utensil tray and your life might be without that vomit-like cack crusted like some ancient sediment beneath your gleaming silverware. While I do believe that there are certain fundamentals, energetically speaking, rising from the grime-soaked, dusty, cobwebbed, cluttered, stark, haphazard, anal, ugly, pretty, grubby, sexy spaces of your world, any suggestions I am proposing are just that. Suggestions. Run with them. Hold them in your hand and give them a good squeeze like putty or a young recruit's testicles. Why do they do that anyway? And see if they feel right. Or if you can hunt out other meanings to them. Some things have a whole lot of meaning. Part of the fun is recognizing the symbolism. which can often be hilariously literal or obvious, and at other times, deliciously cryptic. Other things are simply just crap-soaked clutter, unnecessarily gunking up that wonderful matrix of energy that surrounds you. So if something baffles you, or if it's just a plain annoying struggle trying to figure it out, forget trying to decipher every hieroglyph you've left yourself, and just shift or suck or dust or chuck the damn nuisance out. You'll feel the energy buzz around in its newly sparkled shape or complete absence. Alternatively, you can just switch off from the get-go, crank up your favorite playlist, and move and sweep and shape-shift your world and just stand back and see what happens.